Hey, welcome back to another video. It's time for more DCX Sonic Metal Legion, this time issue 3. It has been a hot minute since this one came out, and cutting it a little close. By the time this video comes out, it's very likely that the first issue of the Sonic and Godzilla crossover is already out, but, you know, getting into a seemingly endless spiral of self-loathing will do that to you. But we're here now, and it's time to talk about the thing that I enjoy. When last we left our coalition of colorful Caped Crusaders in this compelling chaotic crossover, the Legion of Doom was already starting to get sick of Eggman, but that didn't get in their way of trapping Team Sonic and the Justice League in Null Space, leaving the villains free to do their thing, though there are still many heroes who weren't trapped in X-Death's idea of a good vacation. Like always, spoiler warning, obviously, so if you're worried about that, then go read the issue and then come back here. So we immediately pick up from where the last issue ended, with our combined hero team still in Null Space, largely fine with what's occurred, since the information they got from Rouge and Catwoman told them that whatever attack the Legion had planned for them wouldn't be a direct assault. So while this isn't exactly an ideal situation, they've chosen to wait until they get their chance to strike back. So for the time being, they're just gonna hang out in Null Space for a little while. Maybe they'll run into Infinite. Meanwhile, the Legion of Doom are celebrating trapping the heroes, and once again, Cheetah expresses her desire for bloody carnage, saying that ripping the heroes' hearts out would have been way more satisfying than just tossing them into a void. Now, I know this is technically published by DC rather than IDW, and similar comments aren't exactly out of left field for most comics, but it still blindsides me every time Cheetah goes all bloodthirsty in this. Both times so far, simply because for a Sonic comic, it is a little strange. Fun little detail I enjoy: in the background of this sequence, you can see Gizmo continually putting party hats on Black Manta, until Black Manta catches on and grabs Gizmo by his collar, presumably threatening to shove the party hats down his throat if he doesn't stop. In the middle of the festivities, betrayal strikes.
It don't surprise me one bit.
Though, to my surprise, it's actually Lex who makes the first move. Well, technically, it's Sinestro, since he's the one who restrains Eggman, but you know what I mean. Like I said in my video on the first issue, I fully expected Eggman to be the one to blow up this partnership, so color me actually kind of surprised. Also, I really like Captain Cold sticking up for Eggman here, building off the last issue where he was the only member of the Legion who actually liked him. Eggman gained at least one legit bud in Captain Cold, and I kinda want that friendship to stick around, even though it definitely won't. But obviously, Eggman has his own tricks up his sleeve, as we knew he was planning on betraying Lex himself, and he's saved by the arrival of the Metal Legion, robot duplicates of the Legion of Doom. Yeah, 3 issues in, and the group in the title is finally introduced. The comic doesn't actually give any names to the individual robot heroes, but I'm going to refer to them with Metal in front of their respective Legion members, since that's probably how it's going to be if they ever do properly name them. So, you know, Metal Black Manta, Metal Gizmo, so on and so forth. And I gotta say, these are some pretty snazzy designs. I particularly like Metal Cheetah and Metal Black Manta, but the others are no slouch either. The only one I'm not that big on is Metal Gizmo. It seems more like a standard Mook robot than anything, where the others actually do feel like robot versions of their respective Legion members. It helps that Metal Black Manta literally just has Black Manta's helmet, but still. Yeah, Metal Captain Cold doesn't really look like Captain Cold, but the design is at least more unique. Metal Gizmo just comes off as more of a glorified egg flapper. Still, in general though, pretty cool, even if Metal Gizmo does kinda drop the ball a little bit. Besides, nothing is ever gonna be as lame as Eggman from Worlds Unite. This whole sequence is basically Eggman flexing on the Legion, gloating about how his renovations of the Legion's headquarters not only includes the bioscanners that led to the creation of the Metal Legion, but that he also has total control of the entire base, and Lex's face as he realizes he's been completely played is incredible. Eggman really does hold all the cards here, shooting the base up into space when Lex tries to call in reinforcements and combining it with some satellite thing to form the Doom Egg, and it really sinks in for Lex here that Eggman has him completely outmatched right now, forcing him and the Legion to retreat. Eggman's portrayed as a legit threat here, which I really appreciate. I feel like in general there's this idea that Eggman's always on the goofy side and that he's kind of an ineffective villain, and while he does work in a comical role, see basically any episode of Sonic Boom as an example,
the soup is cold and the salad is hot. How is that even possible?
Some of my favorite moments of him as a character are where we see why he's such a notable villain, and that he really is as smart as he's supposed to be. The Archie comics and the mainline IDW series have also been really, really good about this. And what better way to do that in this crossover than by having him pull one over on the entire Legion of Doom, leaving Lex fucking Luthor completely shook. Sure, I imagine the rug's gonna get pulled out from under him later, especially given that Lex uses the control he has over the Lex Egg gates to escape, and then release the heroes, but I like seeing Eggman get the leg up and pretty solidly come out on top in a situation that probably wasn't hugely in his favor at the start. And yeah, the heroes get released from Null Space during this issue, which is pretty fast, and that is largely the extent of the time we spend with them. The vast majority of this issue is villain focus, to the point where I kind of forgot about the heroes a couple times. There are some fun moments with them, like when the Justice League talks about how the Watchtower budget is going to be low thanks to paying off Rouge and Catwoman, with Superman wondering if Green Arrow could pitch in to help. And we do get to see the rest of the Sonic DC matchups getting ready to join in, but overall it is villain central this month. And yeah, that's kind of the long and short of it for this issue. Yeah, there's really not as much to go over, given the majority of this issue is taken up by the reveal of the Metal Legion, and Eggman completely owning the Legion of Doom, and individual character interactions are, understandably, pretty limited, so it's not like there's any of those to go over. That's not to say this is a bad issue, or that it's less good than the previous ones, because it's not. There's just less to really go into detail about, because the actual gist of it is villain team breaks apart, heroes are back, and I think I covered that pretty solidly. Though I do want to mention, the first page shows us Tangle teamed up with Batgirl, which is 1, really cool, and 2, might be a sly reference to the fact that Ashlyn Madden voices both characters, but it does remind me of something that I kind of feel just a little bit miffed about with these crossovers. There is a serious lack of IDW original characters in the DCX Sonic crossovers thus far. There were none at all in the original crossover, and we've only gotten cameos so far in Metal Legion, with Clutch, Ruff, and Tumble showing up in the first issue, and now Tangle in this one. I know they probably want to focus on the cast just from the games, so it's easily accessible for people who don't read the IDW comics, but I think it's such a waste not to include them, especially this time around since we're adding in more characters like Blaze and Cream. Plus, having, say, Tangle and Whisper as part of the actual plot might get people who haven't read the comics to check them out if they get interested in the characters, so it's a win-win. Hell, building off that, if Tangle's already hanging out with Batgirl, let's get Whisper and Cassandra Cain together. Then we can get a Tangle and Whisper double Batgirl team-up. Oh well, maybe something for a potential third DCX Sonic story. Artwork is the usual, pencils by Adam Bryce Thomas and colors from Matt Herms, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it's pretty damn good. The highlight for me is probably the range of Lex's facial expressions, from the embarrassed look he's got when Eggman gains the upper hand, to his barely restrained fury when Gizmo calls him out on getting played. These are all incredible. Also of note is the 2-page spread showing the Legion of Doom fighting the Metal Legion. I just think this looks really cool. And bonus points for Cheetah's literal beast mode expression here, another example of the more animalistic look for her in this series working really well. I was a little off-put by that design in the previous issues, but honestly I'm kind of starting to come around to it, even if it's still not really what I'm used to from the character. All in all, another pretty solid issue, even if there was less to discuss in terms of the actual events of it. Eggman gets a moment to really shine as a villain, and we get some pretty cool new robots introduced. Also Metal Gizmo. Before the next issue of Metal Legion drops, we'll get the first issue of Sonic X Godzilla, which I imagine will be a pretty fun time, and hopefully I'll be able to make a half-decent video out of it that doesn't take like 2 or 3 weeks to come out. That's going to be it for me. I hope you have a great day, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you, and I will see you guys next time.